So I don't know about you, but I've been in hibernation mode ever since September hit and temperatures went down. And I've been enjoying my quiet nights at home in my comfy chair and with candles lit on my autumnal table spread. And of course, with a good book. This time of winding down, I think, is perfect for quiet, slow, moody, contemplative books. So I have assembled a few to recommend to you. Most of them are very short books, most of them are novellas at best, which is perfect, I think, for a slow autumn or winter reading weekend at home. Let's start with a seasonal read, The Shepherd by Gunnarsson. I have the German translation in which it is called Advent in the Mountains. In the original Icelandic, I think it is only called Advent. And this is a short tale about a good shepherd who, on every first Advent Sunday, goes up into the mountains to gather the stray sheep that got left behind when the herds were brought down from the upper pastures into their winter quarters in the valley. This year is going to be the shepherd's last trip, and he's going out with a bang, but one that only very few people witness. And then we have a mountain to the north, a lake to the south, path to the west, a river to the east, by the freshly baked Nobel laureate Laszlo Krasznahorkai. This is a curious little novella about the things we do in search of meaning, and in order to create meaning, to ward off decay, and what the world does instead of all that, or in spite of all that. This is a somewhat supernatural, somewhat fantastical tale set in and around a temple in Japan where the grandson of Prince Genji, lost in time, has come in his never-ending search for a perfect garden that he has ever only glimpsed an illustration of in a book before. And this is one of those books that I think you can read over and over again and still find some new interconnections, some new aspects that you hadn't detected before. Winter Count by Barry Lopez is a collection of very short stories all about people's relationship with and connection to the natural world. A word of warning, I think the first story in the collection is the most unremarkable one of the whole collection. So if this one doesn't sweep you away, I beg you to still nevertheless stay with the book and give it another chance with the following short stories. Next, I have a small stack of historical novels and novellas. And this isn't typically a genre which is known for its uneventfulness and its quietness and its contemplativeness. But the books I have here, I think, are all of these things. First is Lear by Carys Davies, a 2024 release. This is a story that makes a case for radical acceptance of other people as the only way in which we can meaningfully weather and meet not only fate, but above all, the whims of the powerful. The story is set in the 19th century on a small fictitious Shetland or Orkney island where a big landowner has sent an agent of his in order to evict the resident crofter, who has been holding out alone on the island for years after his family died or left. And the way things go down is a bit of a surprise for almost everyone involved. Strange Meeting by Susan Hill is a story about two young soldiers, two young officers in World War I, who meet and form an unexpected bond at the front in France, which helps them stay sane and retain their humanity while the world around them falls apart. And they are creating a kind of quiet haven for themselves, which is kind of also incidentally how reading this book feels. The Charioteer by Mary Renault is a gay coming-of-age story set in and around a hospital in England in World War II, where a young injured soldier is being treated and is being torn in two directions by, on the one hand, a love that is safe because it is unattainable, and on the other hand, one that is dangerous because it is everything he's ever wanted. This is the most tender and most well-crafted story of its kind that I have ever read, and it is one of my all-time favorite books, even though I'm not sure I've ever even talked about it on this channel before. The Death of the Tea Master by Yasushi Inoue is the story of the tea master of Taiko Hideyoshi, who once again creates a quiet oasis in the center of the Taiko's war camp, and who absolutely refuses to compromise his art for anything, like, for example, propaganda for his Taiko master. I'm not sure if this has ever been translated into English. I'm only aware of a French translation and this German translation. There might be a Chinese one out there as well, though. Another Japanese historical novel, Shipwrecks by Akira Yoshimura. This is a story set in a tiny seaside fishing village in, I think, the 19th century, and it shows the abject poverty of this kind of life and how people were at the mercy of fate and of the environment. But unlike other stories of its kind, it makes do entirely without misery porn. The absence of sensationalism makes its depictions all the more impressive and all the more quietly devastating, and does much more to humanize the people who led this kind of life than other stories of its kind do. And I will keep recommending Brother of Sleep by Robert Schneider until you all pick it up. Sorry, not sorry, but this is the story of a young man, a boy/young man, who is born with the extraordinary ability of being able to hear the divine music, or the music of the spheres, the music of the universe, in absolutely everything and anything. But as a cruel joke of fate, he is born into a god-forsaken backwater alpine village in the 19th century. But eventually he gets a chance to channel his ability. Next, I even have a few fantasy books for you. My first recommendation is by Patricia A.McKillip, and there are a few that I could have picked, and I decided to go with the book of Atrix, Wolfe. This is the story of a wizard who wanted to protect what he loved and ended up only causing pain, and the story of a fairy queen who should never have known what sorrow is. As always with McKillip's books, it is her writing style that makes them special. It makes them feel like a precious, artful dessert that you eat very slowly with a tiny little spoon. The novella The Winter Players by Tanith is one of those books in which a lot is actually going on. A heist, a hunt, a wolf attack, but Tanith writing style makes it all feel like a dream. And the one dominant emotion that came across to me reading this book was actually yearning. And of course, this list can't be complete without The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle, melancholy in book form. It has quite a few more layers and is much more serious and philosophical and even bleaker, would you believe it, than the excellent movie. So even if you know the movie, which you probably do, this is well worth a read. And somebody else without whom this list wouldn't be complete is Kazuo Ishiguro. I could have again picked quite a few of his books, but the one with which I went is The Buried Giant. And like so many of Ishiguro's novels, this one too is about memory and how it informs personal as well as collective identity. This is the story of an elderly couple who, at the end of their life, go on a quest in search for a son that they vaguely remember having had in a sort of fantastical early medieval Britain. Sounds like an exciting adventure story, but is tempered down by the fact that the couple, as well as everybody around them, seems to be walking around in a haze that comes from being disconnected from their past and from their memories. King Lear by Shakespeare can probably be produced in a way in which there is a lot going on stage, but when you read only the text, it is a very quiet and quietly devastating chronicle of the entirely self-inflicted downfall of a man who is his own worst enemy and falls victim to his own obsessive thoughts and ideas. Out of all the Shakespeare plays that I've read, it is the one that has felt the most intimate one to me. Beneath the Wheel, or The Prodigy by Hermann Hesse, Unterm in German, is the sad story of a bright young mind that gets smothered by formal education. Not the most uplifting of books, but it is the dark season after all. And with my last recommendation, we are looking into the future. Notes from the Burning Age by Claire North is probably most likely the quietest, dreamiest spy novel that you will ever read, set in a post-apocalyptic Eastern Europe, which is far removed in time from the Burning Age, which is our own age, the age in which we burned fossil fuels and which ended in a great conflagration. Humanity has picked itself up again and reinvented itself. However, unfortunately, not all of humanity's bad habits were left in the past. This was my favorite book of 2024 by a slim margin, and it has one of the most beautiful, dreamiest descriptions of a winter wood that you will ever read. So perfect for the coming winter season. So this is it, 16 quiet books for silent nights, all of them very close to my heart. And if you end up picking one of them or all of them up, I hope that they give you comfort or inspire your thoughts as well. Happy reading, guys. I'll see you again very soon. Bye.